Hey guys, welcome to The Rotation, where we discuss Rocket League news and topics going out through all the community and then lend our own opinions and thoughts to said conversations. I am your host, Bryce, and with me today, I have Christian, Jake, and Tesla joining me. How are we doing today, guys?
Doing great.
Wonderful.
Yeah, can't complain.
Awesome. I love to hear it. Love to hear it. So before we go ahead and get started with the show, we're just going to jump right into this. Let's go ahead and just get the viewers familiar with who we are, a little bit about ourselves. Christian, you can go ahead and start us off, man. Just let the viewers know a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Thank you. So as you already know, my name is Christian. Right now, I am currently a full-time college student. On the side, I am a streamer over on mixer.com/Kasokage. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Jake. I work full-time as a sales engineer, and in my off time, I play Rocket League and stream it as well, which I do so on twitch.tv/goodneighbor. And I do so in the suit, as you see me now, just because I love suits. Can't say anything else about it.
Man, it's got to one-up all of us. All the
There
time, every single time.
We're keeping it classy. We're keeping it classy.
Somebody out there invest.
Whatever.
That's all we do.
Sure.
That's all we
Just
do.
just some weird power move. That's what it is.
I like it.
I'm my own boss. So,
That's a good way to put it for sure.
Ooh.
Hello, I am Tesla the Panda. I am now a full-time streamer on Twitch because I lost my job for a little bit thanks to COVID. So I stream Rocket League most of the time on twitch.tv/Tesla the Panda.
Yes. Shout out to the sponsors, COVID-19,
Oh yay.
for making
Doing
all of us
wonders for us.
streamers full time.
Yeah.
We accept your offer very
Mhm.
kindly.
there's been a lot of tournaments lately because of this, like online
yeah.
Yeah.
esports
Yeah.
tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, stream numbers and Steam numbers have been up through the roof, through
Like
all this
crazy.
COVID
Yeah.
stuff. So,
Yeah.
but hey, power to the gamers. We're the ones that are benefiting from all this, so we're eternally grateful. Thank you, COVID-19.
In a way.
In a way,
Yeah.
in a weird,
No.
in a
You
weird
gotta-
kind of way.
You gotta look at the bright side.
Yeah.
Glass
Exactly.
half full.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Glass half full. I like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. It's awesome to be with you guys here. It's awesome that we're kicking off this show, the first episode of The Rotation. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to just hear what your thoughts and opinions are on some of the topics that we got lined up here today. So let's just go ahead, jump into the first topic that we have on the list. Team Esper. I'm sure most of us have already heard of the story going on. The team in question, possible throwing of a Game 5, from what it seems like, and from the investigation, we're throwing Game 5. But for those of you who do not know what we were talking about, we do have a clip to show some context to the situation at hand. Let's go ahead, show that clip and get an idea of what happened there in that Game 5.
And with a Game 5, where so much is on the line, you could not ask for anything more.
Yeah, final game. Here's the kickoff. Only 5 minutes decided delusion. the kickoff, and it might be that Team Espers just don't want Renegades in playoff, or he just mishit his flip, but it's looking like they're giving the win to Fury. I'm not sure if this is allowed.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to. And so, as you can see, they're passing it back. I mean, okay. All right. I don't think we can assume anymore.
Well, guys, that is not ideally what you want to see from your everyday RLCS team at that level. Jake, go ahead and kick off this conversation for us. Just give us some thoughts and opinions that you have from what you saw and what you know already from this incident, if you will.
Yeah, of course. The main thing was that they banned 2 of the 3 players for competitive play for a year. I was very, very happy to see that they investigated, found that one player didn't throw, and allowed him to keep playing, because a setback on a year can really do a number on these players' careers as pro Rocket League players. And I'm just glad that they were actually able to get the proof they needed to do this and let him keep playing. That was my main thing behind it, because I would hate to be in his position where I wanted to keep playing the game because you're on this big stage and your other teammates do something that you don't agree with and you get punished for it. It's never a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I know that we did get statements from Psyonix specifically of the players in question, Delusion and Frenzy, who were found to throw that game 5. They had to forfeit their prize money from the match that they were in, but also they, like you said, were banned from Psyonix operated tournaments until April 7th of 2021. And again, like you said, that whole year is huge for those
It's big.
players. It's a lot of money that they are losing.
Yeah.
And again, that's it's different because that is your only job right there. And you know, some of these players are just kids, so they don't have side jobs like they do to have another income and stuff like that. So that is absolutely huge for them. But I do know that we do know that Delusion did have a response to that, and in my opinion, honestly, just not the greatest look for him overall. And
No, not at all.
I mean, the tweet in question, basically, just to paraphrase it, just kind of him blaming Psyonix, saying he didn't really get a fair trial in a sense overall. But I mean, what are our thoughts on that a little bit? I mean, because that's not a great look overall for a player, especially when it's so obvious that you threw a game. I mean, the least he could have done if he was going to throw is try to fake it at all, which was the question with Steve at the end of this investigation, because he looked like he had no clue what was going on and he just tried to play it through. But just what are some of our thoughts on him making that statement after all these evidence have been thrown against him?
Yeah, you kind of said it there. I mean, Delusion, they didn't even look like they were faking it. You know, it looked too obvious for me. Like I was mind blown watching that, you know.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I've never seen that in such high level gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, again, what gave it away, I mean, if you look at just the way that the game started off, you know, you had one guy in the corner and you had two guys back, staggered. And Steve was that second guy there up ahead of, I believe it was Frenzy, if I'm not mistaken. But he was ahead of him. And so in that case, he would be moving up to pick up the ball depending on where it went. So it was hard to tell whether or not he was actually throwing the game, but you could definitely tell from Delusion and Frenzy on that kickoff. They both went for the ball and completely, I mean, Frenzy on the corner, if I'm not mistaken, just completely whiffed the ball and missed it there. So it was very obvious they were throwing. It was just, it wasn't clear exactly who was throwing it within the team itself. But yeah, I agree. It was just very.
Like they just weren't even close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, you hate to see it.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
There was just a lot of. I mean, you can tell it was not the right thing to do because I mean, look at the feedback. It's just everything was negative. You had other pro players commenting on it, saying like, "This is not something you need to be doing at the stage you're on." Like it shows maybe the age, the maturity of these players and how they need some time. I mean, they need to really think about their actions.
Yeah.
They weren't really thinking about
they weren't.
how that would affect their future.
I mean, I get the whole feels of the competitiveness, and you can really be brought down by the situation because before the series was over, it was over for them. And I mean, I can understand how it takes a toll, but you have to be better than that.
Yeah. It could cause some problems with them being signed to a different team if there's ever to be a roster change.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that same issue with Scrub Killer right now after he left Mouse Esports during the season. I mean, he hasn't, obviously we reached the end of the season already, but you know, you got to start asking yourself, well, what teams are going to be willing to, you know, take that risk on him? I mean, you look at any sport in general. If a player comes with a lot of baggage, you know, you got to start questioning, is it really worth the signing, even though they're a good player at the end of the day? And I don't have a ton of, you know, watch time on Delusion and Frenzy as players individually. I just know, at least if I was thinking from a corporate standpoint, you got to definitely take into consideration, these guys just threw a game 5, you know, and took away a team's chance of making a tournament just because they lost. Because again, they were up 2-0 in that series and then lost the next 2 games on top of that, which took away their chance to make the tournament at that point. They had to win all their games and they couldn't lose 2 games, but because they lost those 2 games, they lost the tournament there. And from what I know, at least from what I've heard, the Team Esper and Renegades was actually a pretty good rivalry within the rival series in itself. Or sorry, the RLCS, forgive me. From what I heard, it's actually a big rivalry there. obviously when you have bad blood, that would be a huge influence as to why they decide to just throw their game. But still, at the end of the day, I mean, you just got to be more mature about it. That's a lot of money that you are throwing away. You need to think about your future, the organization that you work for, because this, at the end of the day, still is a job. And even though you're playing a video game, this does not mean you can act like some of the other people in the community do on a normal basis within the competitive scene.
Oh yeah.
Well, when you're at the top, I think it becomes more than a video game at that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a career at that point, and because you're getting paid if you're with these orgs, and you really got to think about these things.
Yeah,
These kids have to learn that.
And they were playing against Team Fury, correct?
Yes, Team Fury was
That's
the team they went up against.
Imagine winning like that too.
Yeah, they actually
didn't they say something about it?
Yeah, they did have a tweet. One of the players did tweet out after the incident happened that they just didn't feel like they earned the win. They felt really bad about it, and they wish it hadn't have gone down that way. Which, you know, obviously you are thankful for your win, but as a professional player, I'm sure it just doesn't feel good to have a series like that handed to you, especially because it was looking to be a really, really good series. You know, Game 5. Everything's on the line for Team Fury in that case of making the tournament. They have to win that game in order to make the tournament there, or else it goes to Renegades. And it was all in Team Espers' hands at that point. I mean, they held the fate of both of those teams. And like he said, you just don't feel good about that win. It doesn't feel good to have it handed to you. You don't feel like there's any competition. You don't feel like you earned it at all.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Yep.
yeah, it's a tough one for sure. But we'll just have to see what happens, I think, moving forward for them, and just keep touch on what Cyanox does moving forward and what these organizations do, see if anyone reaches out to them. But you hate to see it for sure. It's definitely definitely not good for the game of Rocket League at the end of the day. Well, with that wrapping up, let's go ahead and move into the second topic of the day, which is the promotional tournament that happened this past weekend. We had NA and EU. NA on Saturday, EU on Sunday. For NA, let's go ahead and start off with NA. Yeah. We had Rogue, E United, Charlotte Phoenix, and Stromboli playing. We had, at the end of the day, we had, forgive me, Rogue and E United making it back into the RLCS, so congrats to them.
Surprise.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said, I'm sure. I would love to get into this and see what you guys have to say. But with Rogue and E United making it back into the RLCS, we have Charlotte Phoenix and Stromboli going back to the rival series. What are some of the takeaways that we had from this series? Go ahead, Christian, and just give us some thoughts. What were some of your thoughts coming away from this tournament?
Well, when I was watching the tournament, I was kind of looking at Rogue because I had tuned in and I was watching, and I was like, maybe Rogue might do okay. Let's see how they do, because just going off their previous record from previous seasons, they weren't the best and stuff like that. And I was watching them, and the player I was mainly looking at the entire time was kind of like wondering Kronovi, with Kronovi being such a veteran in this RLCS game, and he's still going at it strong, still showing that he can still compete with these newer players, this newer generation nowadays. So, in my opinion, overall, I thought that the series and the games of the North America promotional tournaments were great. But the team I was really looking at this entire time on Saturday was mainly Rogue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Kronovi having the history that he's had with Rocket League, and everyone knowing going into this tournament that if anything, Kronovi was not going to let his team fall and go down to the rival series. I mean, you've been in the Rocket League,
since season
for
1.
so long. Yeah, season 1.
Yeah.
Like, he's been there forever, and I mean, going down to the rival series after all this time would suck to say the least. Overall. I agree.
I was really rooting for Charlotte. I thought this was their time, and
I was sad for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really was. Like, I was rooting for them. I liked their roster. I thought they had what it took.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they did fight. They fought really hard.
They did. They had a really good, like, overall tournament. They did really, really well, and it was weird, because we talked about this earlier. EU and Charlotte feel like the same exact team when they play, and it really showed going into that. And maybe this is just me. Feel free to call me out if it is just me.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
Go ahead.
If exactly the same, but they definitely give each other a run for their money.
Yeah, well, maybe not the same exact team. More of they have a very similar play style. And for me, watching especially that final series, when they went to all 7 games, watching that final series, at the end of the day, what I took away personally from that was they play a very similar game altogether. It's a little slower. It's not very fast paced, and that, I think again that's kind of what led EU to this promotional tournament. Just their very slow gameplay and not being able to keep up with a lot of the upper teams in NA, which is honestly most of the list already. I mean, they just play slow, and that's what it is. But I think what it came down to was the individual plays within EU as a team, compared to Charlotte Phoenix, which again, a rival series team, really good, really talented, but just don't have that experience yet playing against those RLCS teams. And when they're called up individually as players, they just can't fully commit. Again, we had a couple of missed goals within that series. Karma being one of them, missed a wide open net towards the end. You hate it. And that, obviously it's nothing terrible. We all make mistakes in Rocket League. We all have bad games, but again, just critical goals that you need to hit and knock down in order to win. And again, that just comes with experience. Charlotte had a great run at the end of the day. I think they played really well, but yeah, EU definitely earned that win towards the end of it.
Yeah, I like seeing these close series. I mean, it makes you realize that these RS teams are getting better. Like they're getting closer into moving on to that next step, and also it further proves my point that the open net is one of the best goalies out there.
Oh yeah,
that open net and crossbar, baby, defensive player of the year.
I'm telling you, that crossbar is a different beast.
Yeah,
cannot beat it.
I was just so disappointed in that last match, Charlotte versus EU, and they had that Karma tied it up at 4 seconds. And then in OT with just a few seconds in open net, and we lost
wide open. Yeah, it was sad. You hate to see it, but again, I think Charlotte Phoenix does bounce back next year. I think there's a good chance we will see them in the promotional tournament next year. So I'm not giving up on them. I think they looked fine. But I do want to bring up one thing while we're still in the NA bracket here. I don't know if it's going to be huge controversy, but I want to hear your opinions on this. Wonder on Rogue.
Oh.
So, yep, here we go. We're going to talk about it.
Turinturo to Rogue?
Okay, so Wonder.
I actually saw some people talking about that. They were like, maybe Turinturo to Rogue.
Yeah. So, for those of us who did watch the regular season, Wonder had a very, very poor season. And I've been saying this for the past few seasons now. I think Wonder needs to be traded or something. He just needs to get off that team. But after this tournament here, he actually didn't have an awful tournament overall. He definitely, I think his highs were his highs and his lows were his lows. And I think it showed more at the end. That's where his highs were, and I think that's what a lot of people left with after watching the tournament. At least if you're going to be the person defending Wonder in this case, he ended well, which I think is a lot what most people remember. But in case you don't remember, early on, especially against Stromboli, because Rogue and Stromboli went to all 7 games, kept it relatively close through most of those games. It was 1 goal for the most part until the end, where Rogue kind of took the cake and ran with it. But for me personally, I think Wonder needs to leave Rogue, and I don't know whether that is before the spring tournament that we got going on or going into next season. I think it is. He just doesn't fit them anymore. I think he's become more of a liability than anything with the team. Not saying he can't fit with another team in their chemistry, but personally, I just think it's time for them to move off of him. I think with First Killer being the rookie he is and the raw talent that he does possess, and having Crow being that veteran who can be a good teacher and kind of keep everyone together, I think they need to go out and find a better third man.
Yeah. I didn't watch many of the Rogue games this season, so I don't feel like I'm able to say anything about it, give my thoughts on it, just because it wouldn't be very accurate. So I don't really know much about the performances of each individual player. I only saw the tournament, and which to me it seemed like Wonder did play his part, and like you said, that was that high point of his performance.
Yeah, for sure. What about you other guys? I mean, what else did you guys notice anything or have anything to? Do you agree or disagree? Is what I'm trying to ask you.
Well, I mean, yeah, what was it? Rogue versus E United. At least during the promo tourney. Yeah, he kind of looked like he did for the all of league play. He stepped it up in game 5.
Yeah.
But again, that's not gonna make up.
It was already it was a 6-0 game at the end, so I mean, at that point you was probably just looking to the next game at that point. But yeah, he definitely stepped it up towards there, coming off of a 6-0 in that case. But
Kenobi gave him a little pep talk and
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Come on, guys, let's go. We're not.
Let's just pick it up, boys. Come on, I'm done carrying now. I'm done carrying it. But
he wasn't gonna let that happen.
But yeah, anyway, I think that's a possibility that could come. Whether it's I think there's a chance that they let him play in the spring tournament still, just to kind of see how he does within that tournament. Even though I think we should, as stressful as the promotional tournament is, I think the promotional tournament is easily more stressful than a world championship. Not taking away from the world championship stress level, but your career and professional career are on the line here. There's a good chance your team doesn't come back for rival series if you end up losing, and there's a good chance you don't come back with your team. So again, even though he did play well towards the end, I still think he's become a liability to the team, and I think it's time for them to move off of him. So, but anyway, everyone has their opinions on that, and we'll just have to see what happens moving forward. One thing though, First Killer had a great tournament. I won't go far as say he was carrying, but he was very impressive throughout all of his games that he played, and especially against E United. He really stepped it up in that game and showed that he could really, come through on the offensive end.
He definitely showed off his scoring ability. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The redirect he had at the end of I think it was game 5.
Yeah. I remember that.
Beautiful. I think I remember that.
I want to say it was it was somewhere in the 70 mile per hour range on the redirect, and that's just that's perfect. That's a perfect hit.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
And it was weird because at the end, if I'm not mistaken, Hoxer got MVP, right? Hoxer got the MVP
he did.
overall for the tournament.
Really?
Questionable. Yeah, he did. It was very questionable.
Interesting.
And I'm assuming it had something to do with the fact that they played last, and
could be. Didn't he have a really, really good performance in the last series?
He did. He did play. Honestly, Hoxer
defensively.
Yeah, he had a really good series overall. I think he did good in the tournament. He was definitely one of my favorite players throughout that whole tournament. But kind of surprising that First Killer did not take home that MVP. Just my thoughts, though. Just my thoughts.
It could have been a close race between the two.
It could have been, for sure. But yeah, I mean, overall, congrats to Rogue and E United for making it back to RLCS. Hopefully, we can get a little bit more competitiveness out of them, and hopefully they can fix some stuff up moving forward. And we'll also see if they decide to pick up any new players or trade some new players. I think that'll be very interesting to see.
Always exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's what I'm most excited about moving forward with that. So cool. Moving on to the EU promotional tournament that happened on Sunday. We had Endpoint, Solari, and fun fact that happened, we had TSM and Espanol drop from the tourney, not the players, but the organizations themselves. And so in this case, Espanol is Stonkers and TSM is Karen. So I'm going to try to remember that. But anyway, same team. Yes. So at the end of the day, we had Solari and Endpoint making it back to the Endpoint making it back to the RLCS. Solari moving up from rival series into the RLCS, which means we had Stonkers going back down to the rival series along with Karen, formerly known as TSM. So with former teams Espanol and TSM moving down and Solari moving up with Endpoint, thoughts and opinions on this? Tesla, go ahead and kick us off here. What are some thoughts and opinions you had on this?
Oof. I was so impressed with Solari.
Yeah.
I was so impressed. Yeah. So impressed. I've honestly never seen them play until today. I was just wowed.
Yeah, that's the only way to put it, really.
It's just a standout performance.
They swept. Endpoint 4-0.
Yeah, they really they took it to Endpoint in that game.
So well.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, this tournament was very boring. Honestly, I was falling asleep for most of these games.
Same.
And it's very clear towards the end that Solari was the standout performance. I was terribly impressed. And actually, after the first two series, Solari beat Endpoint 4-0, Stonkers beat Karen 4-0, Espanol beat TSM in that case. And then we had Solari going against Stonkers in the top bracket there. I was riding high on Stonkers moving forward. They play so differently from all these teams that I've seen in both of these promotional tournaments so far. And it looked like they had the best shot of like fitting into the RLCS overall, especially in Europe. They just play very quick ball. They're very fast. They're very confident too. When they get rolling, they just play a very confident Rocket League that you just don't see from a lot of rival series, even the top ones that you saw through this weekend and whatnot. But Solari did come out with the win there. They did take it to 7 games, came out with a win. I think Solari will be a very nice addition to RLCS next season. And then they went down, Stonkers went down to face Endpoint. Very sloppy game overall. I mean, Endpoint ended up winning it, but I mean, Jake, with Endpoint there, I mean, they were just a completely different team overall. They really just kind of came out of nowhere compared to all their other series beforehand, and Stonkers just looked flat. It looked like they just didn't know what to do. A lot of bumping in demos. I mean, thoughts, opinions, please, overall.
In point, they did what they were expected to do. I mean,
yeah,
I wasn't surprised that Karen dropped down. Like, in point, to me,
yeah,
I thought they were good enough to stay, especially after seeing that. Like, it just solidified that thought. Just they're where they belong. I don't think that the other RS team was there to take that spot away from them.
Yeah, for sure. I think if Endpoint plays anything like they did in that series moving forward in the RLCS, I think they could definitely compete. Maybe not be a top team, but they can definitely compete and hopefully not find themselves in the promotional tournament at the end of the day. I don't know about you guys. I don't have much to say about the Europe tournament overall. It was very.
I don't either.
Yeah, it was very obvious. Solari stole the show. Melo Shisu was the MVP of that one. He had a really good, very good tournament overall. Exotic, I thought, played phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just being a really good second man there through the team. Carey, the third person, did really well overall too. But I mean, with the stats overall, this is interesting. So the team ratings, we have a team rating here, and I just want to bring it up for specifically Stonkers and Endpoint, because I thought Stonkers was going to steal this from Endpoint easily, and it could have easily been a sweep for me, honestly. But there was such a gap. We have the team rating from Stonkers having a 3.14 compared to Endpoint's 2.84, and this is the entire tournament as a whole. And for the most part, the players on Stonkers rated a lot better than Endpoints. We had a Nachatao from Endpoint just edging out Tox, who for the most part had a pretty solid day overall. But that amazes me that Stonkers just overall had the way better day, which a lot of that probably came from when they played Solari. And again, I was just so surprised with Endpoint's play at the end of that. And I just think that was a really cool stat line there. Just I was looking at that after the game. I was like, really? Stonkers?
Yeah.
Just couldn't win it.
Sometimes they just can't finish off the game and close it out.
Yeah, really interesting stat line there coming out of that tournament. But at the end of the day, congrats to Solari and Endpoint going to the RLCS. I'm excited to see what Solari can do moving forward, coming into RLCS, and I hope that Endpoint can play like they did in that last series moving forward there. So congrats to all those teams coming to RLCS. Can't wait for the next season, and can't wait to see you guys in the spring tournament if you're there, which is a good transition into our third topic, spring series. Speaking of spring series,
it's coming up really quick.
Yeah, I mean it's basically here at this point. I mean, it doesn't start till the weekend, but we got spring series here. Let's just go over a little bit of the details of that in case you guys don't know what's going on. So basically spring series will be filling in for the lack of a LAN series. RIP LAN series. We'll miss you.
I was all scheduled to go, and
yeah, it's
first one too.
Dang.
Oh,
first
no.
one.
Would have been my fourth one. They're the
Oh, just
There's
rub it
so
in.
much-
It would have
Just rub
been.
So much
it-
fun.
Don't
Yeah,
worry.
look
good-
at my fourth one.
Don't worry. It's been 0 for me too. So.
It was driving distance from me too.
Oh, really?
Even worse.
That's the
3
worst.
hours. 3
That's the
hours.
worst there.
Ooh.
So yeah. Anyway, Spring Series is going to be taking the place of our LAN series. For those of you who do not know what the Spring Series is, let me give you just a quick recap. So the Rocket League Spring Series is a series of tournaments that will include the major RLCS teams, to be specific, the top 4 teams of each region and themselves. I think outside of Oceanic and South America, I would have to double check that. Don't quote me. But each tournament will span 2 days and include some of the best teams from the world that are joined by teams that qualify through open qualifiers, which are held before each tournament. We have Europe going, or sorry, not Europe going first. South America will be starting us off here with their open qualifiers, 14th through the 15th. And then we have the Spring Series, 18th through the 19th. And then we'll have North America coming in April 21st through 22nd for the qualifiers, the Spring Series starting on the 25th and 26th. Then we got Oceanic following up that with their qualifiers being on the 28th and 29th of April. Excuse me, the Spring Series going on May 2nd and 3rd. And then Europe will cap off our Spring Series with their qualifiers on May 5th and 6th, with the Spring Series going the 9th and 10th. As far as I know, the series will be streamed normal places on Rocket League Esports, which means Twitch and YouTube channels. But if I'm not mistaken, the qualifiers will not be streamed on those. So, what are we looking forward to most? Tesla, kick us off. What are you looking forward to most about the Spring Series?
Just a filler to replace LAN. I'm like, I need something.
That's
I
a
need
nice
more
way to put
Rocket
it.
League. Yeah, so
That's a perfect way to put it.
yeah, top 4 teams from both the regional championships. We got NA, it's G2, Space Station, NRG, and Ghost.
It's
And
a solid lineup.
yeah, EU, we got Vitality, Dig, Mouse, Esports, and Barcelona. So I'm excited to see them again, and some other teams. We'll see who make it in. What about you guys?
I like to get to see the fresh matchups.
Yeah.
Just seeing these pro teams or CS teams play against whoever makes it through. Like to me that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Because you have these hungry players wanting to make their statement.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
that would be,
absolutely.
And I
fun
think
to
this
see.
is a good time too. It's not big RLCS, you know. This
Right.
is something just a little smaller, you know.
Like you said, a filler.
Mhm.
I guess if that's how you want to put it.
It's
Jeez.
more Rocket League. I mean, we all love
No,
Rocket League.
no,
Yeah,
no.
it's more Rocket League.
It is,
I'm not
it is.
gonna
No.
complain about that.
Absolutely right. No, for
Yeah.
sure. But not to take away from the fact that there is prize money involved with the Spring Series. I can't remember exactly where they took it from. I think some of it came from LAN, if I'm not mistaken. I know that some of that did go into the regionals as well, but there will be cash money involved with that. Cash money. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. Very interesting way to say it, but there is money on the line here, and it's going to be interesting to see for sure. I know for me, and I talked about this when we were on the promotional topic, but for me, I'm interested of the players that will be let go and brought onto the team. I think there's a good chance that this tournament is used to either try out new players or, keep players on to see how they handle this moving forward. Because even though, yes, we say it's a bit of a filler for the land that we will be lacking, again, RIP, but even though we say it is a filler, again, this is still, like we said, a job. This is still someone's career. And I wonder if some organizations are going to use this to kind of put a little bit of pressure on some players and explore options. Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know that excites me a lot. I mean, do you guys, I don't know if you guys, look into this a lot, but are there any like teams or players that you can see kind of falling into this situation going into Spring Series?
I'd say more of the RS teams than the CS teams.
Yeah, there's a good chance that some
I saw
rival
a stat
series
being
teams.
thrown around that all the CS teams this season that made roster changes beforehand played way poorly than the ones that didn't make roster changes. And maybe they need to give them like an extra season together just to get that chemistry going.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a really interesting stat to see, and maybe they need to not make changes as quickly. Like, give it maybe 2 seasons before calling it quits.
Yeah, for sure. Christian, we all know here that you are a Cloud9 fan, and I want to
Yes.
specifically because I do want
Cloud9.
we'll move off of the we'll move off of Wonder and move to Cloud9, and what many people are calling for is the removal of Torment. Yes?
Yes.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think this is a situation where they could either apply pressure on him in this tournament to play well, assuming that they will go for it, or do you think this is a chance for them to bring someone new on and try that out?
Well, this could apply pressure onto him to try to play better, but at the same time, it might be a little bit too much pressure to where he doesn't play good. So it's a 50-50 there. A lot of people are kind of hoping that Torment will step down and like that one game that Cloud9 had with Sonics, you know, when Fireburner came in. So a lot of people are kind of hoping that he comes in, or people are mainly wanting a new roster change. So I love my boy Torment. I definitely do not have anything against him. But I also want to see the team all together succeed and try to win another championship. You know, I like to see them win. All Cloud9 fans do. You know, so I don't know. I want to say that he does well. I really do. So I don't want to see them have to leave. But you know, with push comes to shove, you know, you got to do what's best for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. We love the good memories, Torment. We love what you did at LAN and helped your team win. We love it. We just need you to play better or get off, okay? So,
whoa.
I know. I'm messing.
Shots fired.
I'm just messing. No, I completely agree. I would love to see Torment step, because when Torment plays to his ability without being carried, Cloud9 is a very, very dangerous team.
Yes.
Overall, he is that he at one point I consider him the best third man in all of Rocket League. Like, no one could do what he did defensively, especially for Cloud9. He was a huge part of their win against Dignitas at LAN a few years ago. And that's why he won MVP there. I remember watching it. I was like, if Torment doesn't win MVP in this, I'm done. We're done here. Done. Just kidding. I came back and watched all RCS after that. But I think Torment I think if Torment still has gas in the tank and he can still step it up, I think he needs to do it, because when Cloud9 is good, RLCS does better overall, I think. Cloud9 is one of those, like, you know, they're one of those poster child teams for Rocket League, I think. And I definitely think when they do good, it's good for everyone at the end of the day. So
they also have Squishy on their team, which
I guess they got this, you know, this guy Squishy. I don't know if you guys
guess.
I think
Whoa. That's my role model you're talking about there.
Oh, chill out.
All right?
I'm
a fanboy. I can say it. I don't care.
I know. I'm just messing with you. Relax. So, anyway, Spring Series coming up here this weekend for sure. We have South America. Go ahead, go support RLCS. Watch it. You know, we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it in the upcoming week for sure. So, with that being said, we are just about done here. We're about done here with our first episode. So, guys, first episode of the rotation. I feel really good about it overall. I thought that was really nice. Go ahead. What are you guys thinking of the future moving forward? Jake, kick us off. What are some things you're excited about moving forward that we can give the viewers to look forward to also?
A full RLCS season.
Yeah.
We caught this one on the back end, and with LAN being canceled, it also messed us up some more. I would also like to see maybe a fantasy league with our community, which I think would be
fantasy.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that was definitely.
I never did one before, so
me neither.
I keep seeing. I see it happening, and I'm like, man, I need to do this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, you know, the show will still have stuff. We'll still be doing stuff, obviously, during the off season and stuff like that. We're not just relying on.
I was just saying, like, just because I love RLCS and. Just to be able to come on here and talk about it.
Well, imagine if we had LAN. Like, we're just getting started as a promotional tournament, and so much to talk about with LAN. That would have been awesome. So much would have been, you know, beneficial to us. But yeah, I agree. I'm excited for the next season with this show going on. I think there's a lot of potential there for sure. Tesla, what about you? You got anything you're excited about?
What Jake said, and I'm just excited to learn more about Rocket League and RLCS and all that. I've been paying so much attention now. and it's actually pretty fun.
So what did you
One
do
way to-
before
I was
this?
gonna say,
Yeah,
what makes
the-
it beforehand?
Just
The
host
confession?
watch parties, and I mean, like I would pay attention to like little things, but like
Yeah.
taking notes and stuff
Mhm.
this past weekend, like I liked it.
Interesting. Well, yep, we'll take that at face value in what you said there. Yes. No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely exciting to sit down and get into the nitty-gritty details of what goes on in Rocket League.
Mhm.
Because I think the more you understand about Rocket League, the more fun the game becomes then at that
Yeah.
point.
Mhm.
And I've recently dealt with a few friends who have picked up the game recently, and they're just starting to get into it. And they love to come and they love to sit with me and like talk with me about all the details and watch the RLCS on streams and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I agree, it's a lot of fun for sure. Christian, anything you're excited about moving forward, man?
Oh yeah, well, we all know what I'm about to start off with saying. You know, I want to see my boys on Cloud9. You know, and all the fans who are Cloud9 fans,
Jeez.
you know, can back me up on this. You know, Tesla, yeah, you know what
I
I'm
do
saying.
like C9.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for them to have a great season. You know, that's really my main thing. But for all the other teams, I wish them well. I want to see a great season. You know, close games, but of course, Cloud9 come on top. But yeah, so
G2.
Huh.
New team.
no, they already won the regional championship. You had yours. You had yours.
Oh
What?
no.
No, we need a world championship.
No. Y'all okay with that? Y'all okay with that? I promise.
I'm telling you what, I'm excited for the rivalry we'll have with this show. Honestly, there's gonna be some rivalry, I think, during the season.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
There's-
Guys,
yeah,
Two
mark
Cloud9
your calendars.
rivalry.
G2 versus
Mhm.
C9. Mark the calendars. That's all I'm saying.
we all
Mark
know
that
who's gonna
down.
win. I mean,
Oh man, we're just gonna actually have to cut out an entire section of the show for you two to go at it when that week comes by.
I think so. I
Yeah.
really do think we'll have
We'll
to.
sit
You
back
know
and
what?
enjoy it.
Guys, go ahead and let us know if you want to see that for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this. I think this was an awesome start to the show. I hope we just keep growing, getting better from here, and that our community grows. Also, I would love a lot more people to get invested in Rocket League and help support, you know, everything that goes on and whatnot. Because I know that NAEU always stands out, but I mean, including South America, Oceanic rival series, I want to see Rocket League grow. I want to see the viewership grow and like the passion for it for sure. And I hope that this show helps with doing that. So, with that being said, thank you guys for joining us here on The Rotation. Don't forget to join our community. Follow us on all of our social media accounts. We also have a Discord with updates, news, again, going on around the Rocket League community and stuff within the Discord itself. We have places where you can share clips, look for teams, stuff like that. And actually, we'll have community highlights moving forward, hopefully, whether it's awesome trick shots that you guys are doing, defensive plays, fails, stuff like that. We would love to see what you guys are doing in Rocket League. So please join the Discord, follow us on social media, share all your stuff, promote all that fun stuff. It's a good time. Thank you guys, Christian, Jake, Tesla, for joining me here today.
Thank
It was
you.
awesome.
Of course.
Oh, guys, stop. You're so kind.
oh
so
God,
awesome.
No,
please.
no, you.
No, you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. And thank you guys for tuning in and watching it. We'll see you guys next week.